Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha. Om Gyan Tirumandasya Gyanjana Salakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tashmai Shri Guru Namaha. Puninada Pisunichina Tarora Pisaishnuna Amanina Manadina Kitani Sadari Tate Nukampam Susamik Shamano Unjavetma Kitam Vipakam Hedvak Vapubi Vidam Namoste Kivita Yomukti Parisataya Pak Anya Balasda Sunyam Gyan Kamariana Vritam Anukalanya Krishnu Shiranam Bhakti Utama Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hari Bol, God sisters, God brothers, aunts, uncles, fathers, mothers, sons and daughters, cousins even. Hari Bol. I'm very excited today. Sorry about the technical mess up, my fault. I'm very excited because today, live beaming in from Godrum in Mayapur is our
from Delhi.
Oh, yeah, of course. Well, figuratively, normally from Godrum, Mayapur, but suddenly transposed to Delhi is our beloved and cherished Sripada Bhaktivedanta Tridandi Maharaja, who will be absorbing us in Lila of Navadvipa pastimes, with the subject matter being preparing for Navadvipa Parikram. So Maharaj, I've already made us late, so I'm not going to steal any more of your time. A warm welcome. Lovely to see you.
Thank you, Yashoda. Lovely to see you too. Finally. Very good. Very good. So thank you all very much for arranging this wonderful program. And I'm very, very happy to be here and sharing this conception of building to Navadvipa. So Om Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmalitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gurave Gauda Chandraya Radhikaya Taralaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And the same again, millions of times unto the lotus feet of our most beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And all the Vaishnav and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to you all today. So today is the 15th of February here in India. And Gorpanim is on the 22nd of March. So we have what, 4, 5, almost 6 weeks before. Yashoda's doing the calculation.
Not even that. What date did it start? 20 what?
22nd.
22 plus 15, no, it's 13, 22, 32, 35, so 5 weeks.
5 weeks, yeah. So in the last 5 days, I've been blessed to be here in Delhi at Radharaman Mandir Temple, Srila Gurudev's temple here in Delhi, where we've been celebrating for 3 days Srila Gurudev's Maha Vyasa Puja of his centennial. And I feel like for the last 7 or 8 days, we've just been glorifying Srila Gurudev and appreciating his monumental contribution to the welfare of the suffering jivas in this world. Just listening to Pushpanjali after Pushpanjali, offering after offering, is so heartening. And so more than anything is the understanding of the extent of our Sangha. I had no idea, actually. In reality, I'd heard about all these different places, but actually see to see them represented on the screen was very a powerful impression for me. So I was very, very grateful for all the different persons like Yashoda Prabhu and his team who organized and arranged all of that. It was very wonderful. But now Yashoda Prabhu is continuing with the whole concept of giving facility to the devotees to basically come together in this format and hear regular Harikatha and the glories, the Harikatha of Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj in principle. There is a speciality here. There definitely is a speciality. So I was going to start at the top and consider what we've heard in the last 5 days, many, many times, that Srila Gurudev has indicated what is the Satyam Paramadimahi, what is the topmost truth for us to understand. What have we been given by Srila Gurudev? This aspiration for Radha Dasyam. Radha Dasyam. How high is that conception? So what is the way to reach that conception except through the mercy of the Yuga Avatar, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? It's through his mercy. Mahaprabhu is understood to be our Bhajan Shiksha Guru. So he's demonstrating through his own activities what the sadhak must do to enter into this realm, his thoughts, etc., his meditation. So Mahaprabhu, I'll discuss that in a minute. So, yes, so if we look at the calendar, just for a moment, see physically how this build-up is going to be to Mahaprabhu's appearance day. Because unless we are conversant with the nature and character and pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then how can we access Sri Vrindavan itself? It's said, Radha Krishna Paitenai. Without the mercy of Nityananda, you cannot enter Vrindavan. Without the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we cannot begin to understand the precepts of Vrindavan. What to say of Radha Dasyam, this highest conception of consciousness, Radha Dasyam. So coming down from there, we understand the build-up for Gorpanim. So tomorrow, on the 16th, is Vashant Panchami and the appearance of Vishnu Priya, the appearance of Raghunath Das Goswami, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur's disappearance day, Bhakti Vivek Bharati disappearance day, and Pundarik Vidyanidhi appearance day. Tomorrow is such an auspicious day. So that's on the 16th. And then on the 19th, we have Advaita Saptami. On the 21st, we have Madhavacharya's disappearance day. On the 22nd, we have Ramanuja's disappearance day. On the 24th, we have Varahadev's appearance day. And on the 25th, we have Nityananda Trayodasi. And all this, Advaita Saptami, Nityananda Trayodasi. And then on the 12th of March, we have Shivratri. In between then, we have the appearance day of Bhakti Bhagavan Keshav Maharaj and the appearance day of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. So this is all in a space of a very short period, 5 weeks practically. And then we have Jagannath Das Babaji's disappearance day. We have Bhakti Dvaita Madhav Maharaj's disappearance day. And then the parikrama begins on the 22nd. So I've always considered this. Somebody needs to mute that. What's the scratching? So I've always considered this build-up to be very significant, that Advaita Acharya is manifesting Mahavishnu Sadashiva directly to prepare the ground. He is the personality who called Mahaprabhu. He is the personality who directed Mahaprabhu when to leave. So Advaita Acharya is pivotal in our appreciation of Mahaprabhu. And then, of course, Nityananda. Without Nityananda's mercy, how can we begin to conceive even of this topic, to enter that realm of Braj. So I was listing all these, and I'm going to throw a little commercial in here for a moment, Yashoda, if you don't mind. I'm wanting to find and look for a creative graphic artist, because these days, these celebration days, occur every single year. So I want to create a wheel that we can just look at every year. It's the same. It's going to be the same. It's going to be Advaita Saptami, and then Nityananda Trayodasi, and then Gaurapanima, etc. So the devotees can actually gauge their daily lives, more or less, by appreciating how the calendar is spinning. So like in a wheel shape, you have the different appearance days and disappearance day. And for Gaurapanima, there's a whole build-up for Gaurapanima. After Gaurapanima, it subsides somewhat. We go to Ram Lila, and we go to Nrsingadev. Yes, we go to the different Leelas, and then we come the big build-up into Kartik, starting from Rupa Goswami's Tirabhav, and then Krishna Janmastami, and then Radhastami, etc. And we can have a wheel, and the colors can become more intense when the two most important festivals take place. So just a facility for the devotees to appreciate regularly. So that would be a Panchika Chakra. So if anybody knows any creative, skillful graphic artist, please let me know, and I'll send all the details for that, because it would be nice to have it for the devotees' pleasure. So now we come to Navadvipa itself, and Srila Gurudev would traditionally, as we remember, always begin to speak about the supremacy of Navadvipa Dham compared to that of Puri Dham. Puri Dham is in fact Aishwarya Dham. It's described that the residents, they have 4 arms in Puri Dham. But in Navadvipa Dham is very simple. Navadvipa Dham is Gupta Vrindavan. So Mahaprabhu, he spends 24 years in Navadvipa, and he spends 24 years in Puri. And in the 24 years in Navadvipa, it's principally his moods of union. He has this Lokik Sambandha with all the residents of Navadvipa, just like in Vrindavan. He has these very intimate personal relationships with his parents, with the street people also. It's described in Chaitanya Bhagavat. He would go to the milkman, he would go to the flower seller, he would go to the tailor, he would go to these different personalities. So he had these relationships like a village type relationship, just exactly like in Vrindavan. So this conception of Madhurya, of Navadvipa, is fully Madhurya, whereas in Puri, it's fully Aishwarya. So to appreciate these distinctions is very important, because there was a time when a well-known scholar was proclaiming that Puri Dham was actually superior, because it would appear superior in one sense, that Mahaprabhu, he exhibits these sattvika bhavs, these phenomenal astasatvika bhavs. So somebody may consider, oh, well, then Puri Dham must be so much higher than Navadvipa. But these astasatvika bhavs are somewhat of an Aishwarya exhibition. To demonstrate those and show those is of an Aishwarya mood, in fact. This is not a Madhurya mood. Mahaprabhu internally, what is he tasting when he's experiencing those moods? He's experiencing the height of Mohanakya Mahabhav, separation mood, Vipralamba. This is what he experienced in Puri predominantly. Srila Gurudeva said that Mahaprabhu practically never experienced meeting after he took to the renounced order. So his Lila is split completely. 24 years in Navadvipa and 24 years in Puri. And the speciality, which is beautiful to appreciate at this time as we're building to this celebration of our Navadvipa Gaura Parikrama, because Srila Gurudev would request, he'd go all around the world regularly. Madhu Brat Prabhu will remember, and always requesting all the devotees, please come to Navadvipa. Please come to Navadvipa. He even built the beautiful Keshavji Mandir, huge Mandir. Yashoda Prabhu, he donated our Kirtan hall there. I can remember the time we had a massive banner against the wall saying, all glories to Yashodananda for offering that amount to cover. It was a huge, huge hall. Most of you will have been there.
So you're on mute. You've got to come off mute.
Didn't you hear anything I've been saying?
Yeah, you were saying about Yashodananda and Kirtan Hall, and then you cut out.
And then you muted me.
I was trying to mute myself.
Okay.
Actually.
So Srila. Okay. So Gurudev, he provided this facility very urgently for us, because without the mercy of Srila Gurudev, how would we even have heard of these topics? What to speak of attempting to consciously enter into meditation on these topics? Srila Gurudev gave his life to impress upon us the priority of Madhurya Prem, of Braja Prem. And this, as I said at the beginning, manifests, of course, from the teachings of Chaitanya Charitamrita, from the teachings of the lotus-like mouth of Sachinandan Gaurahari, coming through, of course, our pristine Guru Parampara, Rupa Goswami, the six Goswamis, etc., Krishna's Kaviraj, coming into Narottam Das. All of these personalities, they're bringing us the conception of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his most, this is Krishna in his most merciful aspect, laced with the compassion, the karunamayi of Srimati Radhika herself. So there's a process, there's the Abhideya step-by-step process to entering this realm. So by appreciating more and more of Navadvipa Dham itself, then we are going to appreciate more that personality of Sachinandana Gaurahari. Just like in Vrindavan, when we go to all the different parikrama places, we hear so many different pastimes about Radha and Krishna. So this gives us an insight. This gives us a connection with that holy, and all the instructions from Rupa Goswami, from so many personalities are saying just to reside in Braj, that this is the essence. What's that? Braje Tishtan Anuragi Janugami Tannama Rupa Charitadi, this verse in the Upadesha Amrita. So many verses indicating to live in Vrindavan. But then again, if we come to Goradam and we stay in Goradam, this is the key. This is where we get the key to enter into Brajdam by associating with the nature of Mahaprabhu's associates in particular. Because many times in our Lila discussions, etc., we're describing pastimes of Krishna and Radha and the gopis, the Sakhas, Mother Yashoda, Nanda Baba, etc., and Uddhav going to Vrindavan, so many aspects like this. But in Gaura Lila, there are so many eternal parikars, of course, accompanying Mahaprabhu that we don't seem to hear so prominently. And living in Gaurdam, we have the opportunity to actually explore all of these individuals. And we understand that it was Nityananda Prabhu who was the main preaching force of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. Mahaprabhu himself was residing in the Gambhira for 18 years, 12 years very intensely, the final 12 years. He wasn't going out disseminating the philosophy, etc., amongst the general people. He wasn't doing like that at all. He was engaging in Ratha Yatra and showing the populace the beauty of chanting Hare Krishna by his dancing, etc., engaging in that festival. He performed 2.5 years preaching in South India in 1510, 1511, and 1512. This is when he was engaging in preaching in South India. And then he came up to Ramkeli. He was on his way to Vrindavan. And you'll remember it was Sanatana Goswami who said, why are you going to Vrindavan with such a huge following? This is not the way to travel to Vrindavan. So then he listened to Sanatana Goswami and turned around and went back to Puri. On the way, he met with Raghunath Das. On the way, we're getting attacked. Can you see who's not muted? Anyway, so Mahaprabhu retraces his steps and returns to Puri, and then he leaves Puri again, wanting to come to Vrindavan. This time he goes through the Jharkhand forest, comes to Varanasi first, meets Sanatan Goswami, then he goes to Prayag, meets Rupa Goswami, and then he goes to Vrindavan itself. Then he returns through the Jharkhand forest back to Puri, and he remains there basically for the rest of his manifest pastimes. And he is constantly sending, every year he sends Nityananda to preach his mission. And he instructs, in fact, Nityananda
everybody,
to
because
remain there.
Everyone turn their videos off, please, except for Maharaj.
Can you upload that class from today?
Hey, mute Jagatam. You should.
Mute Jagatam, yes.
It's done. It's done.
Okay. Okay, shall I continue?
Carry on, Maharaj.
So I was just retracing the journey of Mahaprabhu and showing how it's Nityananda Prabhu who actually takes this mission into the world. Nityananda Prabhu is doing the preaching engagement in Bengal, and he travels with his 12 Gopals, the Dwadasa Gopal, these 12 Gopals. And we can visit all of these different places around Nadia to be inspired about the glories itself of Navadvipa Dham. Because by understanding these personalities and the affection and tremendous love that they hold for Nityananda and for Mahaprabhu, then we can appreciate the very sweetness and essence of this divine personality much more prominently. We can appreciate that. So there are 12 of these personalities, and the first is Abhiram Das Thakur. Abhiram Das Thakur is Sridham, the brother of Srimati Radhika. That's his eternal identity. And he's also Bharat Maharaj in Ram Lila, and he's also Garuda. So he's a very powerful personality. And his pastime is very interesting to appreciate how. Oh, Yashoda, you're still unmuted. Someone else is still unmuted. A lot of traffic today, huh? Is that Jagatam still unmuted or somebody? Okay. So yes, to appreciate Nityananda's contribution, then it gives us greater accessibility to Vrindavan itself. So this is Mahaprabhu's gift. Mahaprabhu has come to bestow on the jivas at this time, the conditioned souls, the opportunity to enter into Braj Lila, to taste Braja Ras, to taste Braja Prem. This is what he wanted to give. So we know that Srila Gurudev put this on the front burner, so to speak, of all his presentations. He wasn't cutting jungles. He wasn't allowing us to go too much into the Aishwarya world of Sankhya, etc., and discussing those aspects of analytical tattvas. But he was keeping us on track constantly with our focus on the Lila and how to enter Vrindavan. So what is the method to enter Vrindavan? This is simply by glorifying the personality of Sachinandan Gaurahari. So this build-up we have over the next 5 weeks will help keep our focus on that goal of celebrating Gaur Punim. So that will be very helpful, inspiring for the devotees to appreciate that day by day, increasing the opportunity to remember Mahaprabhu. Advaita Acharya, of course we remember Mahaprabhu. Nityananda, of course, everything is focused on Mahaprabhu like that. So it's this build-up. So just to discuss for a few minutes these 12 Gopals of Nityananda. When Nityananda would travel, he would travel with his sakhas, with his eternal sakhas. There's Abhiram Thakur. He is Sridham, as I just described. Then there is Sundaranandan. He is Sudam in Braj. And there's Kamalakara Pipalaya. He is Mahabala in Braj. And Gauridas Pandit. He is Subal in Braj. Gauridas Pandit's glories are so extensive. And if we get the opportunity to travel to these places where they had either they took their birth or they had their preaching centers, etc., then those personalities become very indebted to us just visiting them. And they give us their kripa, they give us their mercy, without doubt that the mercy of Nityananda can manifest through these Gopals. So these Gopals are the principal extensions, we can say, from Nityananda, and everything that we have today in our philosophy, sitting here speaking, is manifesting ultimately from Nityananda Prabhu. All of it's coming from Nityananda Prabhu. Originally Mahaprabhu, he's empowering this, but Nityananda is doing that groundwork. He is like the principal general, we can say, who's taking this everywhere into the world. So there's Gauridas Pandit, there's Parameshwari. Parameshwari was an incredible personality. When we come to his Shripad, we appreciate, he was dedicated to Janava Mata. When Nityananda finally leaves this world, then Janava Mata, she becomes like the presiding Mahant, so to speak, of all the Vaishnavas in Bengal. And she's responsible for installing many, many deities and keeping the Vaishnavas fully encouraged and fully dedicated to the spirit of collating and writing all these different descriptions of Mahaprabhu's activities and of the Vaishnavas in Bengal. And there's one beautiful book, I'm sure many of you have read this, Bhakti Ratnakara by Narahari Chakravarti. In there, all the pastimes are beautifully mapped out of the events that took place in Bengal, leading up to Narottam, Srinivas, Shyamananda, etc., and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And it was only later that the emphasis shifted to personalities residing in Braj itself. And then Jagannath Das Babaji originally was living in Braj before he moved to Navadvipa. And although thinking now, when I'm thinking Bhaktivinoda Thakur, etc., they all resided in Bengal. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was there. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was doing his preaching in Bengal. So it appears that all the fountainhead of energy is emanating from Bengal, but it's in the direction of Braja Prem. So to appreciate this, to appreciate Nityananda primarily, and his monumental contribution to spreading the mission of Mahaprabhu. And the Goswamis, of course, they went directly to Vrindavan and they renovated Vrindavan itself, and they produced all the scriptures to describe the nature of rasa, which had never been given before. So all of these teachings and the appreciation of the places, this is the way to get the Kripa to enter an understanding a little bit of what is Radha Dasya, what is service to Srimati Radhika, how to enter into that contemplative appreciation of the relationship between Radha and Krishna, how Radhika, every single fiber of her existence is focused on pleasing, satisfying her Lord Sri Krishna, her lover Sri Krishna. And she is experiencing a much higher sweetness, a taste, this Adiruddha Mahabhav, than Krishna is experiencing. Krishna is described, experiences the taste, which is described as Mahabhav. But Radhika, she experiences two higher conceptions than that. There's Rudra and Adi Rudra Mahabhav. And Krishna, as we understand, wanted to taste these moods of Sri Radhika, the taste that she was experiencing, which is higher than the taste Krishna's experiencing. So we know this Sri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrisho Vanaiva Swadyenat Bhuta Madhurima Kidrisho Madhya Sokyam Kasyam Mad Anubhavita Kidrisham Vatilobat Tad Bhavadya Samajani Sachigarvo Sindhu Harindu. That these three desires are very important to appreciate if we want to attain this exalted goal that Srila Gurudev has given us. It starts from here. It starts from appreciating that verse that Srila Gurudev spoke all over the planet. So this is the path, this is the journey. So to celebrate Navadvipa Dham, we need to appreciate these aspects that I've been describing about the energy that Nityananda Prabhu has fueled to facilitate these teachings to actually come to the entire world. They have come to the entire world through Nityananda Prabhu. So this appreciation becomes more reinforced as we visit his tremendous Gopals. There is also another Gopal called Dhananjaya Pandit, Mahesh Pandit, Purushottam Pandit, Kala Krishnadas, Purushottam Naga, Udaran Datta, and Kolavecha Sridhar. So these are the 12 Gopals of Nityananda. And enter into their descriptions is fascinating. I began to speak something about Abhiram Thakur. I'll just tell you the pastime briefly. Abhiram Thakur, Sridham, originally, he's in Braj. All the Sakhas are in Braj. Krishna's in Braj. And they're playing a game, hide and seek. And Krishna suddenly decides, tells all his Sakhas, oh, let's go to Goradam now. Let's now let's relocate our pastimes to Goradam. So they all come to Goradam. But they forget about Sridham, who's hiding. And for 5,000 years, he's hiding for 5,000 years. We can go today to his place, to his ashram. It's in Bandirvat. And beside that Venukup, we can go there and see this beautiful ashram of Sridham. And he's there. And then Mahaprabhu and Nityananda and all the Sakhas, they're meanwhile all in Bengal. Then suddenly Mahaprabhu says, where is our Sridham? And then they all realize they've left him behind. So Nityananda, he comes across to Braj and he finds Sridham. And of course, Nityananda's only about 6 foot tall. And Sridham is still left over from Dwapara Yuga, and he's about 12 foot high. So Nityananda is saying to Sridham, I am your Daubai, I am Balaram, because Balaram and Sridham have a particular special relationship. And Nityananda introduces himself. He says, oh, well, I am actually Nityananda. We've all shifted and gone to perform with Krishna in Gaura Lila. And Sridham becomes very hurt that he's been forgotten for so long. And he doesn't want to come. And he says, I don't even believe you're Nityananda anyway. And he says, and then Nityananda says, well, how can I prove that I'm Nityananda? And he says, well, Nityananda was the only person that could ever catch me when I ran. So Sridham says, I'll run and see if you can catch me. No one could ever catch me. I was the fastest sprinter amongst all of you. So he sprints off and he goes 3 times around Govardhan. And he thinks he's way, way ahead of Nityananda. And then he just turns around and Nityananda is right on his shoulder. And then he realizes, oh, this must be Daubai. No one could run as fast as me. So then he accepts, yes, this is my Balaram. And then he says, but I don't want to go and take birth from another womb. I don't want to go and perform these pastimes in Goradam. And Nityananda Prabhu says, don't worry about it. Just come as you are and we'll work it out. So he comes as he is, 12 foot high. And it's described that Nityananda sits on one shoulder, Mahaprabhu sits on the other shoulder, and he comes down to being 6 foot high. And I would like to ask everyone in the audience, if they want to examine or research, see if you can find who are the parents of Sridham, whose name becomes Abhiram, because when he comes down to being 6 foot tall, Mahaprabhu says, now your name is Abhiram Thakur, Abhiram Das Thakur. So I searched everywhere. There is no record at all of Abhiram Das Thakur's parents. So I'm understanding this pastime to be authentic because he didn't want to take birth from another womb. And so therefore, there's no record of any parents, of course, which is remarkable. And it's described that he was such a powerful personality. He played the flute beautifully. And it's described he picked up a log that 16 men couldn't pick up. And he played it like a flute at one time. He did all kinds of really, really extraordinary activities, like a god would do, like someone who is God would do. So supernatural activities. Actually, many of the Gopals who followed Nityananda, they would perform remarkable feats. And the people, the populace, would be so impressed and staggered by these amazing personalities, because there wasn't just one of them. But there were, I mean, Nityananda would perform staggering pastimes, like, for example, when they go to the Shripad of Udarandatta, they have a festival there for 3 months. And for 2 months, all of them fast. They don't take anything for 2 months. They're all so intoxicated with Krishna Prem. They're able to demonstrate physically the ecstasies of Krishna Prem. It seems to us, you know, amazing to appreciate this. I mean, they were rolling on the ground. They were climbing huge trees and jumping down from the trees. They were uprooting huge trees in their ecstasies. And they were dancing for hours and hours and hours, days, in fact. So these are phenomenal pastimes that the local people of Bengal were completely mesmerized by these personalities. And they were accepted fully as empowered representatives of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is how Nityananda, he spread the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through his activities in Bengal. We know the story from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Nityananda would walk around wearing silk cloths, etc., beautiful earrings and gold, because he stayed in one place. How's it called? I can't remember the name of it, but it's the Suvarna Maliks, the gold merchants who were very fallen. And he purified that whole city, and they all loved Nityananda excessively. And they all gave him so much gold ornaments, which he would wear to show mercy to those people. So these are the moods of Nityananda and the moods of his followers. And they created a huge wave of affection and sweetness coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it's from that wave that we are connected to follow this path today. And from this inspiration of Nityananda, he can give us his mercy to take us into Braj directly. Nityananda Prabhu, he is, of course, Baladev, Sankirtan, and he's the repository of all pure bhakti. He's the first bhakta. He's Srimati Radhika, Swarup Shakti. She's Krishna's conjugal energy, Swarup Shakti. But Baladev is the one who is demonstrating service, bhakti, directly to Sri Krishna. So Nityananda is doing the same for Sachinandan Gaurahari. So in contemplating and meditating this build-up to Navadvipa Parikrama, just in a few weeks' time, we can be appreciating the glories of Nityananda as well as the glories of Navadvipa Dham itself. And in Navadvipa Dham is described that all the 12 forests of Vrindavan are present, whereas in Puri there are no forests present. In Navadvipa Dham there is Baduravan, Bandiravan, Belvan, Lohavan, Mahavan, Madhuvan, Talvan, Kamudvan, Bahulavan, Vrindavan, Kadiavan, Kamyavan. All the 12 forests are prominent in Navadvipa. And Ganga Devi is there, and Jamuna Devi is also there. And many cows are also there. So all of these specialities, Govardhan is there. Even the ocean at Samudragar comes to take darshan of Nadia. So all of these udipans, these inspirations towards Vrindavan, are present in Goradham. Not only that, we have such great acharyas residing there as Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in particular, who in his meditation revealed so many of these pastime places. He is that personality who revealed the Yog Pit. He was searching. He went through so many different maps. He went right back into ancient maps looking for the original Yog Pit. And eventually he found it. And it was simply like a mound in a Muslim property, just growing tulsis. And he took Srila Srila Jagannath Das Babaji to that place. Krishnadas Jagannath Das Babaji was the principal Vaishnava Mahant at that time. And we know he was about 120 years old. He was being carried in a basket by his servant Bihari. And they came to this, Bhaktivinoda Thakur brings him to this land. And Jagannath Das Babaji, he jumps in ecstasy out of his basket and begins dancing in ecstasy, demonstrating the speciality and the potency of that particular place. It's the birth site. It's where Mahaprabhu manifested his earthly pastimes from. And when you go today, and if you put your head to the ground in the Yog Pit, immediately there's a mystical, almost magnetic effect that you can feel. The charge, the energy is so powerful at that place in the Yog Pit. And we can appreciate it ourselves when we're there. And it's a very, very potent place. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he put the Yog Pit on the map, so to speak, because without the birth site of the avatar being recognized, then for future generations, how could the followers serve properly? We had to have the Sripat, the birthplace, firmly established, just like we have Vrindavan established. Even in Christian philosophy, we have Jerusalem, and in Hindu, in Muslim, we have Mecca, etc. We have to have the principal place. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur was knowing this, and by his prayers and by his diligence, he manifested that there. And then, of course, his glorious son, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, was residing there for much of his manifest pastimes and developing this Gaudiya mission as we have it today. So this is like the history, more or less, that I'm trying to build a picture of Navadvipa Dham, of Goradham, of in relationship also to Puri Dham, but principally it's all being carried forward by Nityananda Prabhu. So this is the picture that I'm trying to present for our appreciation today.
Maharaj, can I ask a couple of questions?
Go ahead.
Actually, it's something I can do for the group. The first thing you were talking about was all the Sakhis of Nityananda Prabhu and
Sakhas.
Sakhas. Apologies. The Sakhas, and how they appear in Braj Lila, Navadvipa Lila, and in Ram Lila. If you have all that information, I can put it in a table and distribute it to everybody. That would be nice for everyone to have. Yeah. Maybe you could send me your notes and I'll put that together.
Yes.
And the second thing is you mentioned
actually I was going to say my friend on the link here, Upendra, he took a photograph today and he's sitting on the link. If he knows how to send the photograph immediately, we could look at it while I'm talking.
Oh,
but
great.
maybe that's a bit complicated.
If possible. The second thing is you mentioned the forests of Braj are in Navadvipa. So it'd be nice to know where each forest is on each island.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
that's
So
another
when
thing we can prepare.
Yes, yes. When we go to Antardweep, for example, is non-different to Mathura and non-different to Gokul, and it's where is it? Simantadweep is I haven't got them all in my head, but I know most of them. So Godram, for example, is Nandagaon, and also on this same island of Nandagaon is Antardweep is Mahavan, the forest of Mahavan. So there are many listings. I can also send these. Koladweep is where Giriraj Govardhan is situated, and Nashringapalli is where is that? That's maybe Madhubrat here can help me out. I can't remember them all clearly. So yes, I remember more the actual places where does Madhubrat have the listings? No, that's okay. Okay, so I'll get that for you. Yes, it's fascinating. I've done that little Navadvipa Parikrama book, and it has all the forests listed in there, and all the islands, the 9 islands, and what each island represents, which forest it represents. So that's also very helpful to entering Goradam, because Goradam is quite different externally to Vrindavan Dham. Vrindavan Dham is completely uncovered today. You can go anywhere, and the pastimes have been sung for hundreds of years about those particular places like Radhakund, Shamakund, Giriraj Govardhan, etc. But in Goradam, they haven't been sung for very long. They've been somewhat covered. So it's described in this time, in this age, that Vrindavan Dham itself will become covered. And we see the township of Vrindavan is grossly covered now by heavy materialism, etc., huge high-rise buildings and many other things that are covering the sweeter sentiments of Vrindavan. Even Jamuna Devi, you can hardly safely swim in Jamuna Devi. It's practically contaminated, but Ganga Devi is flowing so powerfully and strongly and swiftly. So we have a wonderful savor for us, our generation now on this thread, to uncover all the holy places of Goradam. They are all just sitting there ripe for, filled with treasure. They're filled, packed with treasures describing these 12 Gopals, treasures of their literatures that haven't even been translated out of the Bengali. They haven't even been put into Hindi yet. We were in one library the other day at the appearance place of Ishwarapuri, and there was a huge library of these thin little 10 rupee books with so much information about so many personalities, Vaishnavas, great Vaishnavas who are preaching in Goradam. And when we can appreciate the sentiments of their hearts, then we can get a closer insight into the personality of Mahaprabhu. And by understanding Mahaprabhu more closely, we can appreciate his teachings more fully. Everything in our process is personal, and getting to know these personalities is a very Navadvipa Bhav Taranga. In Navadvipa Bhav Taranga, Madhubrat's just told us, in this book, all the forests are described as they are today. So I'm just sharing with you the magic and jewels of Goradam. And the purpose of Goradam always, though, is to enter into the moods of Vrindavan, which seems a strange thing. But what would Mahaprabhu be meditating on himself when he would wake up? What is Mahaprabhu's Astakaliya meditation? He would be thinking of Nishanta Lila in Vrindavan. This is where Mahaprabhu's heart is, in Vrindavan. So everything is based in the affectionate area of Vrindavan, but to come to that place is through Goradam, accepting the teachings of Mahaprabhu. Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati, he said if all the books in the world were actually destroyed, but there was just the Chaitanya Charitamrita left, there would be no loss for anybody. Everything is within the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So all the teachings, and Srila Gurudev would give extensively discussions about the teachings of Chaitanya Charitamrita, especially Ratha Yatra and the Hira Panchami festival, etc., and all of the teachings from Chaitanya Charitamrita. So these wonderful topics will carry us in the right direction, and this is all being celebrated every single year in Navadvipa. So every single year in Navadvipa, we get to discuss these types of things, these personalities, and the movements of Nityananda in Bengal, basically, and all his followers, and the movements of Mahaprabhu, as I described earlier on today, how he traveled to Ramkeli and met Rupa and Sanatan, etc. And these places we can also visit. It's a 6-hour drive from Navadvipa to go to Ramkeli. And if any of you have been there, it's absolutely phenomenal. It's an ancient Muslim fortress city. And this is where Rupa and Sanatan performed many of their pastimes. And the jail where Sanatan Goswami is there, and it's very foreboding. When I approached it, I started to tremble, actually. It was so intimidating. It's a huge, huge, heavy-duty round building. And Sanatana Goswami was incarcerated there for quite a while. It doesn't say exactly how long, before he escaped with the bride from that Rupa Goswami had left him. So many pastimes in the area of Goradam, and so many glories of Navadvipa Unlimited. Of course, we realize the Astakalya Lila is performed in Navadvipa. The Rasa Lila is performed at the home of Srivas Thakur. Srivas Thakur in Kirtan Ras. Kirtan Ras is the exhibition of the Ras Lila in Gora Lila. In Braj Lila, there's the actual arena. There's the actual stali of their dancing together. But in Gora Dham, that same Lila is manifest through Kirtan Ras. So Mahaprabhu has come to give us this Sankirtan Ras in this age. So at this time, to be focusing and meditating upon the glories of Vrindavan. I haven't really touched a lot. I've just made, many indications about these glories. But if we began to focus more specifically on these glories, we'll find that they're so relishable and tasty over the weeks and months prior to this Navadvipa Parikrama. And hopefully, Yashoda Prabhu, he's planning to have a virtual parikrama.
No, don't announce that yet. It's not decided.
Well, we're on our way to Vrindavan, so we have to so even if you can't get a plane ticket to Navadvipa, this year we hope to bring you a good, healthy taste of Navadvipa. And in your meditation, in your chanting of your mantras, etc., we can begin to be meditating on Mahaprabhu in Navadvipa. Mahaprabhu's Leelas in Navadvipa are so sweet. In his Balya Leela, in his Leela as Nimai Pandit, defeating all the Vaishnavas with his sharp shastric mind and intelligence, and clearing actually jungles of Mayavad misconceptions that would arise during this age, and his purification of the great Digvijay, Chandra, what was his name? Madhuvrat, the Digvijay, remember? Anyway, disciple of Saraswati Devi, Chandrasekhar, I think his name was, maybe not. Someone going to tell me, prompt me? Come on, you're my support group.
Kashmiri.
Keshav Kashmiri, yes. Thank you. Keshav Kashmiri, yes. And chanting those 100 shloks glorifying Ganga Devi, Mahaprabhu picking out one of those verses, showing the alankars, the ornaments, and the defects of it, and just purifying that Digvijay's misconception that actually he was the supreme knowledgeable person. So pastimes of this nature are very wonderfully described in Chaitanya Bhagavat. Chaitanya Bhagavat by Vrindavan Das Thakur. And if you can also visit the house of Vrindavan Das Thakur, where he lived with his mother, Narayani. And he never got married. He stayed with his mother. His mother is actually an eternal associate of Krishna in Vrindavan. She's the sister of Ambika in Vrindavan. Ambika is Krishna's nursemaid. And Umbalika is the name of Ambika's sister. And she manifests as Narayani in Gaura Lila. So all of these personalities have just come over from Braj. So really, Gaura Lila, in a sense, is very much filled with aspects of Braj directly, as well as the forest being manifest here, as well as all these holy places directly here, and Jamuna is here. So we need to appreciate this. It's a stretch of consciousness to understand that Gauradham and Brajadham are non-different. Without Gauradham, Krishna's pastimes are not complete. It's Guptadham. Gauradham, Vrindavan, Krishna is Lila Purushottam. He's tasting all his extraordinary Leelas in Vrindavan. But in Navadvipa, he is Prem Purushottam. He's the giver of Prem, of this ecstasy of Prem. We are in the most fallen condition in the throes of Kali Yuga, where nothing is auspicious really in the atmosphere at all. Everyone is bickering and arguing all around. And yet we have this amazing gift come right in the center of that, of this Gaura Prem. And he's giving us access to it through the mercy of Nityananda and the mercy of the name that he's empowered, the holy name, the Mahamantra. So try to see the two circles going around together, and they're touching, and they're completely in sync with each other. So the consciousness has to align itself with these two. They're not two separate states. They are one state because it's Gupta Vrindavan. So through our chanting and meditation, we can appreciate Brajadham right here in Gauradham.
Maharaj, we have a question from Samasundar. Can you take it?
Sure. I can't necessarily answer it, but I can take it.
Dandavats Maharaj, can you hear me?
Dandavats, Guru. Yes, clearly.
I wanted to ask about the display of Aishwarya that Mahaprabhu was displaying in Navadvipa Lila. For example, when he appeared as Nishinga Maharaj or Nishinga Dev for Shrivas.
Yes, yes, and Chatbhuj also. Yes, yes. Varahadev.
Displayed this Aishwarya. Yes. How do we relate to this when you said that Navadvipa is completely Madhurya, while as Puri is Aishwarya? So how do we relate to this Aishwarya that is in Navadvipa?
Very nice question. There's a whole book about this. It's called Vaishnava Ki Jai, I think it's called. And it's exactly the same dynamic as Braj. Yogamaya has her service to cover the jiva. Once those personalities have experienced the Aishwarya aspects of Mahaprabhu, like when he'd sit in Srivasangam, sometimes he would sit as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He would say, I am he, I am that one you called for. And they were all witnessing him as Lord Narayan. But then the next moment, he would be running around trying to take the dust from their lotus feet. And again, they would be totally covered over by a Madhurya wave. So that Aishwarya would rise, and then it would be covered over by the potency of Madhurya Dham. Gurudev gives an example of this. He says, like, if you boil 200 liters of milk, sometimes some blades of grass will come to the surface. These blades of grass, they represent Aishwarya, but they're very quickly submerged by the amount of Madhurya that is floating all around in the atmosphere. So these manifestations is like when Advaita Acharya, it's described when he first comes to meet Mahaprabhu in his when he's manifested his Godhead, so to speak, he comes with his wife, Sita Devi. And Mahaprabhu is manifesting such an extraordinary vision for Advaita Acharya to appreciate. It's described that the whole sky is filled with personalities glorifying Krishna. And it's like a universal form, basically, is what Advaita Acharya is experiencing. And then he chants many prayers and so on, but then it's all covered over. And then Mahaprabhu again is like embracing him and again performing very sweet pastimes with him. So it opens out and then it closes again. So that Aishwarya makes the whole Lila complete, because if that wasn't there, the Lila wouldn't be absolutely complete itself, because Mahaprabhu is that most powerful personality. Just like in Braj, when he picks up Giriraj Govardhan, this is a most Aishwarya activity. So why isn't that considered Aishwarya? Tell me, Shamsundar, why isn't that considered Shamsundar, picking up a Govardhan?
Why it isn't considered Aishwarya?
Yes.
Because it's not. He's not performing that activity. It's Vishnu in one sense performing that activity.
But the Brijbasis don't know that. They're looking at a little 7-year-old boy lifting up a great big mountain. All the Brijbasis are looking. That's a phenomenon.
They don't think he's Krishna. They don't think he's God.
That's it. They don't think he's God. Neither. So they think Mahaprabhu is that Supreme Lord for a moment, just for a very brief space of time. When Srivas Thakur, he sees the Shringadev manifestation, Murari Gupta, he sees Varaha, and Nityananda sees the universal manifestation that he gives to Advaita Acharya twice, in fact. He gives that, but it's covered over very quickly by the Madhurya. This is how I've understood it. This is how Srila Gurudev has explained that it's covered. Yoga Maya will cover it so that Mahaprabhu Nimai can maintain his identity in a covered manner. But at the same time, that manifestation has to come out. It has to be revealed that he is that personality. There can be no doubt for us, for posterity, so to speak. If that is never exhibited in that form, then down through the ages, there may come some doubt. Was this really the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Was this really him who was performing these pastimes? So there's the praman for this personality to be recognized as the Supreme, even though he's in a covered condition. So it's not easy, Shamsundar Prabhu, to understand these things, really. We do have to take shelter of Nam. We do have to hear these pastimes regularly. We have to regularly touch with them and get those moods. And the mercy from Mahaprabhu, from Nityananda, from our Guru Vargya, to more fully appreciate the depth of these pastimes. That's a very nice question indeed.
Maharaj, I have two quick. Sorry, I interrupted.
Did I satisfy you at all for that answer, Shamsundar?
Yes, thank you, Maharaj. And I remember also when you were speaking, I remember that without Aishwarya, then Madhurya becomes just Nara.
Yes. There's more Aishwarya. You understand the example from Raghavartman Chandrika. He's saying how if you have a glass of water and you put a spoonful of salt in it and mix it up, it's very salty tasting. This is like the Aishwarya in Vaikuntha. There's only a little bit there and a little bit of water. The water represents the Madhurya. But if you take a whole, 50 kilo sack of salt and you throw it into the Ganga, what effect will it have? The Ganga represents Madhurya. Right. There's so much more Aishwarya just like in Braj, there is so much more Aishwarya, in fact, but it's covered by such an immensity of Madhurya that it never manifests practically at all, just like the blades of grass coming to the surface periodically. It periodically rises and then it gets submerged again. So this is like in Gaura Lila, the same appreciation. This is my understanding.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. Clarified definitely. Thank you.
There's a wonderful book. I don't have the name. I'm not in my house right now. I'm in another place. but I'll send you a photograph. It's called Vaishnava something. Maybe Madhubrat on here from England. He remembers the name of that little Vaishnava book, which Sripada Damodar Maharaj published. And it's a very beautiful book. It describes exactly what you're asking. It describes all of the manifestations that Mahaprabhu produces during his pastimes between the different devotees. And it reconciles so many of them. It's only very small, but it's beautiful. So, yes, I'll try and get the name of that. Okay.
Marge, I have
yes.
2 quick questions. Nityananda suckers, do they all appear between now and the parikram, or do they appear throughout the year?
It doesn't have the birth dates of all of these personalities. Like I described, Abhiram Thakur doesn't have a birthday. He doesn't take birth even, you know. You just hear, if we hear about these pastimes in the build-up to our Navadvipa meditation and the actual event of the Navadvipa Parikrama, we will be blessed by their mercy of these different personalities. But there's no like Kolavecha Sridhar, I don't know when his appearance day or disappearance day is.
So we just worship them and acknowledge them, and I beg for their mercy.
Yes, yes.
The other question is, right at the beginning, you were talking about the Aishwarya mood in Puri, and particularly the Aishwarya, that Lord Chaitanya's mood was in 2 parts: his Madhurya union and his Aishwarya separation. I didn't quite connect with the idea that the separation mood would be Aishwarya. Isn't there ultimate sweetness in that mood?
What Mahaprabhu is tasting is the separation of Sri Radhika. Of course, there is the culmination of absolute sweetness when she reaches the pinnacle of Vipralamba Bhav, which is Mohan and Modan. These are the highest stages in separation. So this is the mood that Mahaprabhu is experiencing in Puri. We have to appreciate the sweetness and speciality of Vipralamba. We think in this world separation is always something painful, and we read so many descriptions about the pain that the gopis are experiencing in separation from Krishna. But within that apparent painful experience is the highest sweetness and pleasure and great speciality. So but that is not direct union. It's not the same as Sambhog. In Sambhog, for example, Yashoda, there's no thought for a minute that there's any other focus except Krishna. But in Vipralamba, this apparent mood of pending separation intensifies the experience of separation. So it creates a speciality, a Vaishistya within Vipralamba Bhav. This Vipralamba Bhav is not like I said at the beginning. Gurudev has described that Mahaprabhu practically never in the last 24 years of his life experiences union with Krishna as Sri Radhika. Mahaprabhu is fully Radhika by the time he goes to Puri. He's fully immersed, especially after the Godavari. After he's unlocked that mood, he has that mood in potential within him. And Vishaka, in the form of Rai Ramananda, she had full potential for Mahaprabhu to enter into that Sakhi Bhav, because Vishaka is Sakhi. We can only get Sakhi Bhav from another Sakhi. Gurudev explains this. That's why there's no Sakhi Bhav present today. Mahaprabhu has come to give Manjari Bhav. He hasn't come to give Sakhi Bhav. So that Sakhi Bhav is unlocked by Vishaka, by Rai Ramananda. And when that's unlocked, then Mahaprabhu is immersed in the mood, the Bhav and the Kanti of Sri Radhika. Like in the 5th verse of Shikshastakam, Ai Nanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Vampishvam Bhambodo. This Ai is an address that a female would make towards any person. A man would say Are, There's a different address here. So it's indicating that Mahaprabhu is fully immersed in that feminine form of Radhika, but in separation mood, not in union. She doesn't meet Krishna. Mahaprabhu goes into so many spiritus and forms like that, but he sees the pastimes in front of him. This is remarkable to appreciate, how he enters into that land of Gokul Vrindavan and he sees Radha and Krishna, and he sees the gopis serving Radha and Krishna, and he's in the form of Mahaprabhu. We see the paintings there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is not an easy conception to understand.
Maharaj, in your original, maybe it was a slip of the tongue, or maybe I've not understood something, but in your original presentation, you referred to the separation pastimes in Puri as Aishwarya. That was what I didn't understand.
Yes, yes, because the expressions of that Vipralamba are very much an external expression. The Sattvika bhavs, like when Mahaprabhu is lying down in the Sringadvaha gate and foam is coming out of his mouth and all his limbs have come into his body, that form is very much an Aishwarya manifestation. It shocked the life out of all those devotees who saw him. That's like a phenomena. When they picked him up from the beach and all his limbs had extended and all the joints between his arms, etc., had come apart. Oh, it's telling me something here. Interesting. I just have to see what this is. Where are we?
You just said it.
Yes, Aishwarya is not a human-like pastime. Yes, yes. So seeing like that, the Parikas were utterly astonished. The fishermen who had seen Mahaprabhu many times.
You don't mean Aishwarya as in awe and reverence. You mean Aishwarya as in non-human-like.
Yes, yes, yes. That's the meaning.
That's a big distinction, because Aishwarya to me just means awe and reverence. So if it means human-like, a non-human-like, I get it. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. That should always be described properly. Now Lila means human-like pastimes, and the Aishwarya are non-human-like pastimes, like Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill, we would think is a non-human-like pastime. So, but Mahaprabhu's pastimes were definitely many times like fountains of tears coming from his eyes, and all the residents of Puri becoming soaked by his tears. These are not Nara Lila. These are indicating that this person is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's not like covered. You understand it? Mahaprabhu.
Yeah, it's an example where Sanskrit has more than one meaning, so you have to understand the double, sometimes triple meaning of a single word.
Yes, 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 because Aishwarya usually means awe and reverence or majesty, like that. Yes, definitely.
That's what threw me off.
Yes, yes, understand, sure, understand fully. Yeah.
We've got another question from Shamarani, who I need to find to unmute. There you go, Shamarani. You can be there, Madit. Okay. Shamarani.
Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. I'm just putting my camera.
Okay.
Oops. Okay. Jai Maharaj, Dandavat Pranams.
Dhanyavad.
My question is, the Vrajbasis, they saw Krishna according to the 5 rasas. So how does the associate of Mahaprabhu see him when the Aishwarya, temporary Aishwarya, is manifest to them? What is their relationship? What is their rasa? How do they see him?
All of Mahaprabhu's parikas are in a mood of dasya bhav, all of them. It's all a mood of service to him. There is no direct madhurya or this conjugal mood. That is not at all present in Lila at all. It's all in a mood of service to Mahaprabhu, of dasya. Mahaprabhu himself is in a mood of service.
Devotee.
That's how they're described. It's all dasya bhav. All the moods in Braj are dasya bhav, because the Sahajiya groups, they try to imagine that Gadadhar, Sri Radha, and Mahaprabhu have some sort of conjugal relationship or something like that. And this is completely bogus. This is not correct at all, because they all have a mood of dasya bhav in Gaura Lila. All of the parikas, they all are a mood of service to that Supreme.
So they see Mahaprabhu. Yes, I understand. And do they see Mahaprabhu like a great Vaishnav then? Like a great...
Yes, they see him as a manifestation sometimes of Krishna, and sometimes they see him just as a great Vaishnava, a great personality. He's the center of everything. Everyone is feeding off him, just like everyone is feeding off Krishna, more or less. He's the center of all the direction of affection. All in the mode of dasya, because your question was asking about the specific rasas, and there's no like overlapping of that. They all remain in that very submissive mood to Mahaprabhu. In other words, there's no conjugal relationship. This is the principle to appreciate. It's like Sri Radhika has the highest conjugal mood, but she even retains what's her quality of Sri Radhika is her Bhaumya Bhav. This Bhaumya Bhav means contrary mood. That's Radharani's nature. That's what Krishna loves about Radhika. But she doesn't express that for a single moment in the manifestation of Gadadhar. She always keeps herself in what's called a dakshin mood, which means a submissive mood. She's always submissive. And all of the parikas are always submissive to Mahaprabhu in that sense. They're not, they don't overlap into that conjugal world because they're all in male bodies. Many of Mahaprabhu's parikas, of course, many of them were Braj Gopis previously, but none of them manifest that identity like Vishaka, like Ramananda Roy, Swarup Damodar, Lalita Devi. They are in their male forms. So that's like the Maryad, so to speak. That's the principle. So they cannot go beyond that. This is my understanding. Does that answer something?
Yes, it does. It does. May I ask another question?
Tell me.
Is that okay?
Sorry, just 1 second, Shamrani, because we're going to close at 1. So I just want to make sure if anyone else has got a question, give everyone a chance. Otherwise, we'll come back to you. Any other questions?
I just wanted to say, Upendra Prabhu was sending me the picture with the 12 Gopals from the notes of Maharaj, so I can share that if you want.
Yes.
Shall I share?
Put it on the Manjalari. Put it on the Holistic Bhakti. Sorry, not Holistic Bhakti. Mercy Grace Lila WhatsApp.
Okay.
Because then people can get it later. It's harder to get it on the Zoom.
Okay.
And you can also post the picture of Abhiram Thakur that I sent.
Yeah.
On that post
in the WhatsApp group.
Okay.
Oh, and also give everybody, not everybody may be on the WhatsApp group. So if you could give them the link to the WhatsApp group for anyone who's not on the WhatsApp group in the Zoom chat, that would be good.
Will do.
Okay, no other questions. So Shamrani, coming back to you, my dear.
Okay, Maharaj, you talked, you touched briefly about the Aishwarya, predominant Aishwarya mood in Jagannath Puri compared to Navadvip.
Yes, yes.
I have a question on this in relation to Mahaprabhu seeing Lord Jagannath as the greatest, sort of like the mood of separation, and that's where he experienced so much Madhurya Bhav. So how can we say it's Aishwarya move, Lord Jagannath? Can you explain?
Lord Jagannath, of course, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's not, well, Mahaprabhu sees him as Rajendranandan Shyam Sundar, but he himself has the identity completely of Sri Radhika. When you read that Rath Yatra pastime, then Lord Jagannath, Rajendranandan, and Sri Radhika are in Lila, more or less, together. Between the two of them, their relationship is so beautifully unfolding during the festival. Even when Jagannath will stop his cart because Mahaprabhu is dancing behind, and he wants Mahaprabhu to come in front, and he's going to follow Mahaprabhu. So that's not Aishwarya internally. Internally, that is full Madhurya sweetness. That's my understanding.
So that's how
that,
we should see it. As Vaishnav, that's how we should see it.
well, he is worshipping Lord Jagannath. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is worshipping Lord Jagannath like a sevak, like in Dasya Bhav. Externally, he's worshipping him. He's going to the temple every day. He's seeing him. He's weeping. He's glorifying Lord Jagannath. But he's seeing him as Shyam Sundar Brajendranandan. That's how he's seeing him.
But then it's the same for Radha, Madan Mohan, Radha Govindaji, all the Radha Raman. They are also worshipped like that.
But when we worship those personalities, we appreciate the sweetness and speciality of the Madhurya relationship while we're worshiping them. I'm trying to understand exactly what you're saying.
My question is that internally, Mahaprabhu see Krishna, Jagannath as
yes, this is Krishna.
Yes,
he's Radha, and this is Krishna.
Yes, but externally he worships him as a sevak.
Yes,
And
he's
so
he's pulling the chariot. He's performing kirtan to him. He's doing all this seva to him. Yes.
So in the same way, all the deities, Krishna, Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan, externally worshipped in as a sevak, but internally we have other moods. So what is the difference in that case between Lord Jagannath and Krishna's, all the deities in Krishna in Vrindavan? That's my question. I don't know if it's clear. In terms of
the mood, of course, with Jagannath is the consort of Sri Radhika. I mean, his consort there is Vimala Devi, right? He's with his sister Subhadra. So where is Radha? When you're worshipping and serving Radha Govinda, you're worshipping Radha Madan Mohan, etc. These personalities with their consort, with Swarup Shakti, then we're witnessing the conjugal mood, the sweetness mood, right? Between Radha and Krishna. But where is Lord Jagannath's consort? It's just Lord Jagannath without his consort there, Shyam Sundar. Yes. Puridam is Dwarka. That's why it's Aishwarya. And how do they see Krishna in Dwarka? All the residents see Krishna in Dwarka as the supreme personality of Godhead. That's how they witness him. So that makes it Aishwarya. I don't know if I've answered your question properly. I'm not sure. It sounds like a very deep question.
No, it's not. Thank you, Marge. Yes, thank you very much for your answer. Thank you.
Okay.
Something to go on.
Maharaj, that was a beautiful, beautiful and very fast-paced class. Really, really enjoyed it. So on behalf of all the devotees, thank you. I know you're probably exhausted because you've probably done several days of celebrations for Gurudev's appearance day. So thank you for giving us your precious time.
You're kicking me out.
It's a shame that we only have you once every 6 sessions, to be honest. But it's very beautiful hearing from you. Just to remind everybody, this Thursday, today is at the special time of 11:30 to accommodate the fact that Maharaj is in India. On Thursday, we'll be back to the normal Thursday time, up as 5. Next Monday will be 6:30. I'm quoting UK times, excuse me. And on Thursday, we'll be having we'll be blasted into space by Sripada Bhaktivedanta Bhagavad Maharaj. He's normally gives us some wonderful guitar, so I hope to see you all then. He'll be talking on the Acharyas.
Can I say one more thing?
No, sorry, he'll be talking Lilas, not Acharyas. Yeah.
Can I just say something?
Of course.
I just want to express my appreciation for the questions today. And I don't know if I've satisfied you with the answers. I've answered to the best of my ability, but the questions, especially the last question from Shamrani, are very intriguing. And I don't understand, I don't know, I'm not a realized soul on these topics entirely, so I don't know. But I feel very inspired by your questions to go and research and to go forward in my meditation on this subject matter. I've realized tonight that there's a long way to go. that's what I want to express my appreciation to you all for giving me that.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj. And also, I just realized my previous announcement's wrong. I was looking at the wrong part of the spreadsheet. It's Sripad Bhaktivedanta Tridandi Maharaja speaking on Acharyas on Thursday, not Bhagwat Maharaj.
Yashodi, you're full of mistakes. You're full of mistakes today.
I know.
So
it's
many.
Lovely. Isn't it lovely? Isn't it lovely?
Well, I'm joining you.
Maharaj, I'm only doing it for you. I've planned all of them for you.
Okay, thank you. Keep me company. All right. Anyway, thank you all. Vansha kalpatarubhyascha, kripa sindhabhyacha, patitanam pavnibhyo vaishnavebhyo namaha. Hare Krishna, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol Yashoda. Hari Bol.